citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another discussion video. So, throughout the month here on the channel, we've been looking at different awful things as part of Awful Month. We've been looking at awful movies, awful wrestling matches, and we're going to look at a couple of awful video games coming in the next few days. In fact, one of them is going to be dropping tomorrow. But the question I want to ask and try to answer today is, why do we look at awful stuff? And more importantly, why do we enjoy looking at awful things? The thing is, when it comes to like awful content, there's a niche. There's very much a niche. That's not a bad thing, but there is kind of like a fascination, I should say. Maybe not really a niche, but a fascination, I should more appropriately say. But there's a fascination with awful content on the internet. There's plenty of it here on YouTube. All kinds of content creators who look at the worst of the worst. They look at good stuff all the time, of course, but they also look at a lot of bad stuff. They look at bad video games, bad TV shows, bad movies, bad wrestling matches. There's even entire channels dedicated to that kind of thing, such as like Wrestling with Regret or Nostalgia Critic, or to an extent Saberspark, are three people which I always enjoy watching. But the question I want to ask is, why? Why do we like looking at awful stuff? Why do we like reflecting on awful stuff? Why do we enjoy talking about awful stuff, even when we don't always enjoy watching awful stuff? And I think the answer to that is that it's fascinating to talk about. And in some cases, I'd even argue, it's more fascinating to talk about the bad stuff as opposed to the good stuff, because when it comes to like something good, if it's something like great, phenomenal, fantastic, then obviously people talk about that as well. But if it's something good, something that was just like, oh, okay, that was pretty good, sometimes we may forget about it, and it kind of just sits in the back of our mind, and like, oh, okay, that was good, and then we kind of move on from it. But something about awful stuff, something about bad movies, bad TV shows, bad video games, bad wrestling matches, bad anything, and something about it sticks with us, and it sticks with us in our minds to the point where we remember it and we love to talk about it for a variety of reasons. It's fascinating for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's because of how bad it is, like how absolutely awful it truly is to witness, like sitting back and laughing, but also kind of cringing, but mainly laughing at like, oh my god, look at how bad this is. This is terrible. Well, oftentimes that's fun to look at. If you've ever been with your friends and you guys are just watching like a terrible movie or a terrible anything, and are just sitting there laughing due to how bad it is, like people who get together and play games like Sonic 06, things of that nature, that's fascinating, and you get a good laugh. Or movies like The Room, where you get a good laugh, like, oh my god, look how bad this is. Which I kind of talked similarly about some of these things when I talked about So Bad It's Good, so I may restate some stuff there, but some of it is just bad. Like, not even so bad it's good, some of it is just like bad. But like I said, sometimes it's fascinating. Sometimes it's fascinating to talk about because of the history behind it. Where a lot of stuff got changed, or a lot of stuff got replaced, and where it was an original vision for it, and then the original vision turned out to be almost completely scrapped and got replaced with the finished product, which happened to be way worse than it. An example I can give of this is Spyro Into the Dragonfly. We saw how that game turned out. It was awful. Which I thought about doing that for Awful Month, but with the lineup I chose, I figured maybe next year. I am thinking about doing an annual tradition for this, even though I was kind of struggling a little bit because a lot of stuff I watched was really bad for this month. But I am thinking about making this an annual tradition. I haven't decided which month I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna stick with May, if I'm gonna choose a different month. But yeah, so maybe next year. But with Spyro Into the Dragonfly, the finished product we got turned out really bad. But if you look at a lot of the concepts and ideas behind it, a lot of it was pretty cool. There's supposed to be some more levels. There's supposed to be way more dragonflies, and there was even supposed to be a Nasty Nork Ripto team up. So I guess the sorceress was just gonna stay dead, and which makes sense. She wasn't the most captivating of antagonists when it comes to Spyro, but Nasty Nork and Ripto teaming up, that's great ideas on paper, but unfortunately, because it was rushed in time to meet the holiday deadline, it got scrapped. And a lot of that stuff got scrapped, and the finished product we had felt very half-baked. But that's fascinating to talk about. It's fascinating to delve into the history behind it, and to talk about why it turned out as awful as it did. It's one thing to look at something and say, "Oh, that's awful," well, which in a lot of cases it very much is. But it's even more interesting, I feel, to talk about why it's awful. Why did it turn out as bad as it did? What's the reason behind this? What's the story behind it? Why did this turn out as bad as it did? And that's fascinating for a lot of people. And there's definitely an audience for that on the internet. And a lot of it does have to do with like the content creator itself being able to spin things in kind of an entertaining and interesting and informative way. Some play it more straight. Some may make more like jokes and stuff about how bad something is. I'm not gonna say which one is better or it's like it all really boils down to preference, which you prefer when it comes to looking at awful content. But there's a reason why a lot of people love looking at awful content, and like I said, it sticks with us. It's not just as because of the internet and its ability to store stuff to be viewed later on. Of course, the internet having an archive for a lot of stuff being archived, of course, throughout the reaches of the internet. And we have things like Botchamania and such for that very reason. But also because something about how bad something was, whether it's bad like funny, like, oh my god, that's so bad, or it's bad like infuriating, like, wow, this was so awful, it's not going to leave my mind or psyche anytime soon. Either way, it sticks with us. And oftentimes we reflect on it, and even more so when something good comes along, on something even perhaps from like the same idea set, and where something good comes along and we're like, wow, look how good this is, versus look how bad it was. That I think is the main reason why awful stuff is looked at as oftentimes as fondly as it is, because there's definitely a market for it, and because people love to talk about it. And like I said, the good stuff, the great stuff, the fantastic stuff is also worth talking about. Oh, but I feel like there's even more of an audience for the bad stuff, of being able to reflect on something and say, wow, that was bad. But I feel like that's just me. But I thought about saving this towards the end of Awful Month, which we kind of are towards the end, but I meant like the very end. But I am gonna have a different video out that day. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for this discussion, I think. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the discussion and everything we talked about, and do you like watching and talking about awful stuff? But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.